Be'ezrat Hashem, as we're getting closer to Shavuot night. Shavuot night is the night of Matan Torah. It's the night we got the Torah. Yishtabach Shem Ola'ad. Big night for the world, for the Jewish people. It's the night of Torah. So I want to focus on this Dvar Torah, in an interesting Dvar Torah that I saw in Rabbeinu B'Hayeh, who tries to take the holiday back to some of the initial sparks, where the original spirituality came from all the way back in the creation of the world, that is part of the underlying hidden secrets of the holiday of Shavuot. This is Rabbeinu B'Hayeh back in Sefer Bereshit in Perek Daled. He takes us back to the story of Kayin and Hevel, and that first open korban that we read in the Torah of Kayin and Hevel, and some of that backstory is infused deeply hidden into the holiday of Shavuot. But before we go there, I want to first go to the pasuk of the korban of Shavuot, so we can relate Shavuot a little bit to what's going on back there. So if we go to Sefer Bamidbar, this is Perek Kafchet, pasuk Kaf Vav. So says the pasuk, what do we do on Shavuot? Uveyoma bikurim, on the day of the first fruits. We know Shavuot is a holiday, the bikurim. We bring up the first fruits of Israel. We bring it up to Yerushalayim. Bakrivchem mincha hadasha ladonai b'shavuotechem. When you're going to bring up the special mincha, there's going to be a special mincha offering, a special grain offering for this holiday of Shavuot. Mikra kodesh yalachem kol avodah lo ta'asu. It's going to be a holiday, a mikra kodesh. We don't do work. Shavuot is a full holiday. So we're going to bring a mincha hadasha. Now, what is this mincha hadasha? So Rashi explains to us, Chag HaShavuot karoi bikurei ketzir chitim al shem shtei alechem. What are these bikurim that we're talking about, these first fruits? Which fruit, what are we talking about? Says Rashi, we're talking about the chitim, the wheat. Shem rishonim leminchat chitim aba'im min hadash. Because while the Sfrat Omer, since the second day of Pesach, we bring up the barley. The barley is known as the animal food. The Omer, the Sfrat Omer, the Omer is barley. Now we've counted the 50 days. Now is the time of the harvest of the wheat. Now we're going to bring the first wheat from the Hadash, from the new produce of the year. We have ourselves now the first wheat offering. We have the Shtei HaLechem. We have the two breads that are being brought into the Beit HaMikdash. And now by bringing these Shtei HaLechem, so the Bechor Shor says nicely, it's mitzvah Hadasha, Shtei HaLechem matirim Chadash b'Mikdash lamnachot. Because now by bringing in these two lechems, these two loaves of bread into the Beit HaMikdash, we're now allowed to bring offerings from the Chadash, from the new grains of the year. Okay, so that is the Korban Mincha. But comes along with Rabbeinu B'Hayeh, take us back now to Perek Daled, Pasuk Gimel. So when we get to the story of Kayin and Hevel, they bring a Mincha Lashem. That when Kayin is the first to bring of his gifts to God, he brings a mincha, a gift offering. So he says, we have ourselves the first mincha. So if we have a mincha chadasha on Shavuot, so he's now going to relate it back to the mincha that was brought in the by Kayin and Hevel back by the beginning of the world. Okay, so says the Pesukim over there, Vayihi miketz yamim, and a couple of days went by, a little bit of time went by, Vayaveh Kayin mi priya adama min hal Adonai. And Kayin brought from the Priya Adama, he brought from the fruit of the ground, a mincha. He brought an offering to Hashem. The Hevel Vigamhu, and the story goes on. And Hevel also brought, he brought mi bechorot tzono umechel behen. He brought from the firstborns of his tzon and the fatty ones. Now the bechorot over here is going to be play on bikurim. They're going to have a play on that shorsh as well. Vayisha Hashem al Hevel minchato, and Hashem ultimately pays heed to. He looks towards Hevel's korban. He doesn't accept Kayin's korban. And then Kayin gets depressed. He gets distressed. His face fell because Hashem didn't take his korban. And then we know the story is going to get much worse. Hashem's going to tell him, "What are you doing? Just step it up, do better." If you haloim tetiv, Hashem tells him that. He asks him, "Well, why are you upset? Haloim tetiv. If you do the right thing, se'ed, you're going to be uplifted." But he says, if not, the chet is going to get you, the Yetzer Hara is going to get you, and ultimately that's what happens. And Kayin kills Hevel. Okay, let's go to Rabbeinu B'Hayeh, how he explains things. So first off, it says that Kayin brought mi pri ha'adama. He brought from the fruits of the land. So he quotes a teaching brought down in many places that hayalo lavi bikurim mi pri ha'elan mi shivat haminim. It says he brought mi pri Adama, he brought from the fruit of down below of the ground. He should have brought not from the ground, not vegetables or asavim, or as Chazal tell us, it was pishtan. He was bringing the lowly flaxseed. Rather, he should have brought from the ilan, from the trees, and not just any trees. Mishivat hayamim. He was supposed to bring the bikurim, bring those first fruit. That's now he hasn't mentioned it yet, but we already begin to see a Shavuot connection. He was supposed to bring the bikurim. אבל יגיד הכתוב בחיתותו בצרות עיניו, כי היה איש רע עין. But now he goes, this is a very harsh approach over here. But we see over here that Kayin was being stingy over here, and he brought from the lowest. וזה שלא אמר מראשית פרי אדמה. That's why it doesn't say from the ראשית, from the first of the פרי אדמה, the ביקורים, אבל, rather it says אבל מפרי האדמה, כלומר מן הפחות שבכל. Rather he gives, from whatever's left over, וזה פשטן היה. And that was פשטן, כמו שדרשו רבותינו ז"ל. He says just like the rabbis teach us, and he hints to midrashim. We had the famous midrash that this is the reason why we don't mix wool and linen, because Hevel's korban was the good, fatty, nice tzon, the sheep, the wool, while this was from the flax, and therefore we don't mix the linen, and therefore we don't mix wool and linen, because there was a murder took place over here, and we're going to have a separation, we're going to have a tikkun for murder by not doing sha'anez. That's how the midrashim learn the story. Okay, now let's jump to the next Rabbeinu Bechaya, who's now going to take us into Shavuot. So then he says, Mincha laHashem, hamincha azot hayta beyom chamishin lebriyat haolam. He says, this mincha was brought on the 50th day from creation, bein adivrei Rabbi Eliezer, bein adivrei Rabbi Yoshua. Whether you go according to the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer or Rabbi Yoshua, V'chen darshu b'tinu b'Bishur Rabbah, is also in the Midrash, mipri adama mincha, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yoshua, Rabbi Eliezer omer b'Tishrei nivra olam, Rabbi Yoshua omer b'Nisan nivra olam. There was debate between them. When was the world created? Was it created in Nisan? Was it created in Tishrei? V'omer sham, and he quotes the Midrash, Hakol modim ben divrei zeh ben divrei zeh, lo asa hevel kayama ba'olam ela 50 yom. But everybody agrees that they only lived for 50 days. Okay, so that's the Midrash as quoted by Rabbeinu Bechaya. But I actually want to open up this Midrash in Bereshit Rabbah and look at it inside, because there's a little bit more hints in there to Shavuot. So says the Midrash, Vayhi miketz yamim, it's our pasuk, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yoshua, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Tishrei nivra olam, Rabbi Yoshua, Rabbi Nisan nivra olam. Again, the Midrash tells us, Machlok, Rabbi Eliezer says Hashem created the world in Tishrei. Rabbi Yoshua says Hashem created the world in Nisan. Man de amar b'Tishrei nivra olam, the one who says Tishrei, asa hevel kayam min hachag v'ad Chanukah. So according to Rabbi Eliezer says the world was created in Tishrei. So Hevel lived from Chag, from Sukkot, until Chanukah, and he died Chanukah. That's when he was murdered on Chanukah time. So therefore, you have yourself a Chanukah connection as well. I think we spoke in the past a little bit of a Chanukah connection to the Kayin and Hevel story as well. Man de Amar ben Nisan nivra olam, but according to Rabbi Yoshua, says the world was created in Nisan. Asa Hevel kayam min Pesach ve'ad Atzeret. So Hevel lived between Pesach until Atzeret. Whether this opinion or that opinion, they all agree that he didn't do more than 50 days. Okay. Now, on this math alone, there's a little bit of a question, because there's more than 50 days between Sukkot and Chanukah, and although between Pesach and Shavuot there's exactly 50 days, if the world was created on the first of Nisan, you have to add the first half of Nisan to that math as well. So that's why there's a couple of the girsas, a different girsa that says Rashi brings down as well. No, Chamishim Labdafka, you can read it as he lived for Shivim Yom. We spoke in the Dvar Torah a couple of weeks ago about the 50 versus the 70, or the 70 on the 50. I also saw down in Sefer Agra the Kala that he says, Oseach hevel kaya min chag ba'ad Chanukah yoter min 50 yom nira li chutz Shabbatot. He says, no, don't count Shabbat. I guess Shabbat's a bit of Meil Olam Haba. We're not counting in Shabbat time in this world. And if we cut out the Shabbatot, we'll probably be able to get to 50. Some want to say the 50 only applies to the second reading of Pesach to Atzeret, not to the first reading. Okay, different girsas, but we see from this Midrash that also it's a couple of days, Vayhi miketz yamim, a couple of days went by till this whole thing took place. So, but we see from over here that, at least according to this Midrash, Hevel seems to be murdered, and this whole Korban, our whole story taking place around Shavuot time. Okay, so now let's go back to Rabbeinu Bechaya. I also should know that in the Oz V'Hadar edition, they quote Yaivitz, where he goes in detail to try to explain how to get to the exact amount of 50, and how he plays with the math a lot over there. I end the footnote over there, how he tries to make sense of the numbers. But back to our Rabbeinu Bechaya. But the fact that according to at least our Girs on the Midrash, that they both said 50, what's 50? He says, now we have a reason to understand why we have to wait 50 days to bring our korban on Shavuot. Meaning we have the Omer taking place from the second of Nisan, second of Pesach. We then wait 50 days until this day. We have to wait 50 days to finally bring our mincha of Shavuot. We see over this concept of waiting to bring the korban, to bring the mincha on Shavuot. So he says, why? Keneged Kayin behevel shikrivu mincha b'yom chamishim. So this is going to correspond to Kayin and Hevel, who brought their korban on the 50th day. Ki mitoch ota mincha nitbarer amitat hanebuah v'hu shekatuv v'yom Hashem el Kayin v'tbarer hashkacha gam ha'onesh v'asachar akol nichlal sham. So he says that on this day they brought their korban, and as we mentioned, that Hevel, who at least on the surface seems to have done it right or done it better, he brings the bikurim, he brings those first fruits. But it says over here that on this day we also had three great things. We realized the truth of nevuah when Hashem speaks to Kayin and tries to give him musar, and then ultimately deals with him. We also see the hashkacha of Hashem. We see schar ba'onesh over here. Just three big pillars and three big principles that took place with this mincha after 50 days of the creation of the world. He says that's also infused on Matan Torah, on Shavuot. We're going to see and believe the nevuah of Hashem reaching out to us. We're going to understand the hashkacha, that Hashem is still involved in our lives, as well as the schar ba'onesh, the whole concept of keeping Torah and keeping mitzvot. All of that already took place on this first 50th day in the whole story of Kayin and Hevel. And then Rabbeinu Bechaya gets mystical. He says, "V'yesh lecha litbonen." You should look a little bit deeper, Mikana, al niflot Hashem yitbarach, to see the great wonders of Hashem, the great midah keneged midas, the great perfection of Hashem in the Torah. Echu medakdek b'nitinat ha'onesh v'asachar. How Hashem is so exact in how He gives punishments and sachar and rewards. Ki lo yisa b'nei ish lo yanishenu v'lo yikapeach et sacharo shelo yigmelenu. He says that everyone's going to get what they deserve in the right time. Because you read the story of Kayin and Hevel on its surface, so it's terrible. Hevel, who brings the right korban, is murdered, and Kayin, who does the murdering, kind of like survives. I know his ending is a little bit tragic also, but he like survives much longer. But he says, no, we should know, look towards the future. Sharei Hevel shenerag bayom chamishim kibel secharo v'nit'ala Moshe lekabel Torah bayom chamishim. He said ultimately Hevel, who was murdered on that 50th day, he's going to get his reward. How is he going to get his reward? He's going to get his reward through Moshe Rabbeinu receiving the Torah on the 50th day on Shavuot. Now, it's a deep Kabbalistic idea that Moshe is a Gilgul of Hevel. He's a reincarnation of Hevel. So that's definitely going on over here, and the footnotes bring it down here as well. But also this concept of now on the 50th day, this spark of Hevel, or this Gilgul of Hevel now in Moshe Rabbeinu, is going to go be rewarded with the great Torah. The Kayin sharag bayom chamishim itkalel bo bayom, and Kayin, who murdered on this 50th day, is now cursed on this day. Bekocho shu yetzara atid la'anesh ulitbatel min ha'olam bayom chamishim lakadosh baruch hu, and the yetzara itself in the future on the 50th day is going to be removed and nullified by Hashem. Now I thought he was going to say, because we know the story that Paskaz zo matan nachash, that at Matan Torah, before the sin of the Egel, we had for a moment the removal of the yetzara in a certain sense. But he even goes further than that. He says this is actually a hint to the special Yom HaChamishim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know, we have all these concepts of end of days, of like, you know, the Shemitah cycles, the 7,000 year, 6,000 year, 7,000 year. So here he's going with the tradition of the world being a Yovel, being a 50 years, but a 50 in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's year, which is like 50 times 1,000. Shekatuv bo ki elef shanim enecha ki yom etemol. So he's saying this is going to be in the great times of the Mashiach, of symbolized by the Yovel, symbolized by the 50th year or the 50,000th year of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I assume he's going according to Mekubalim that say we're in the last Shemitah cycle in our current cycle, B'ezrat Hashem. Everything's midah keneged, everything's exact. Asher beyado nefesh kol chai u'manishim v'gomlim kirtzono v'akol mishpat ki lo pelos u'maznei mishpat. Everything's exact and balanced. And he says, Umizeh man'at Torah chametz bekorban mincha. And that's why normally when we bring a mincha offering, the flour offerings to Hashem, you can't bring chametz. Yesh po remez le'yetzahara, because chametz hints to yetzahara. V'mar katuv bechol makom lo te'afeh chametz. And throughout the Torah we say you can't bring chametz as a mincha, as an offering to God. Aval b'yom chamishim, but on the 50th day, on Shavuot, on Atzeret, tziva beferush chametz te'afena. Here, Dafka, we have to bake it. We have to have ourselves the shtei alechem. We have to have ourselves the 2 loaves of bread that are brought in. Mipnei sheyom chamishim shel atzeret hu keneged the yovel agadol asher leolam she'akir yatzara beyovad zichro. Because Shavuot now is a hint to the yovel, to the 50th year, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the ultimate redemption, the ultimate times of Mashiach. When at that point there won't be a yetzahara anymore. So then at this point we can bring the mincha up from chametz itself, because everything will be metukan. Okay, so that was Rabbeinu Bechaya relating Shavuot back to Kayin and Hevel. Now I saw a deep idea in Moshe Shapiro Alav Shalom and his Afike Maim on Sirat Omer Shavuot. It's actually a much longer piece where he discusses Kayin and Hevel and the sin that they did. But he learns a similar kind of concept relating us to Shavuot, but he does it in a way that's a little bit more kind to Kayin himself. So he says as follows: But if he's Kayin korbanon min pishtan, why did Kayin bring from the lowly stuff, from the linen, from the flaxseed? So he's going to learn positively. It's not because he was trying to do a bizayon, to be rude to Hashem, to be chutzpahdik, to bring. No, it wasn't that he was being cheap or the more stingy eye. אלא שכוונתו הייתה להביא קורבן העומר שהוא מאכל הבהמה לעלותה כלפי מעלה דרך עבודת העומר. He says, no. You see, his mistake was he wasn't bringing the Shavuot wheat, the shtei alechem. He was trying to bring the korban ha'omer, the sirat ha'omer. Because what's the omer? The omer is the ma'achal behema. It's animal food, and he wanted to now elevate the animal food. Because we know the omer, like the sota, is from barley. It's considered to be ma'aseh behema. It's considered to be a more animal type of korban, animalistic korban, or tikkun for the animalistic part. So what's he trying to do? He's trying to fix the sin of Adam Rishon. After Adam and Eve sinned with the Etz Hadat, the Yetzirah comes in, the Zomat Nachash comes in, they now become much more animalistic. We became the animal part of our soul, the goof part became much stronger than the neshama part. Now he says we have to go through this whole sphera process. We have to go through these 50 days. We have to work on ourselves. It's the whole sirata omer. It's the animal food, elevating it up to ultimately get, we say nowadays, to get the Shavuot, to get to the wheat. But he was trying to do the Omer offering to try to fix the behemiyut, the animalistic part, to make a tikkun for Adam Rishon. And that's why they were bringing on the 50th day. The Savrush, Zeu Yom Mesugal Tikkun HaBriyah. Saying over Kayin and Hevel, they both thought they could make a tikkun of the whole world by bringing the Omer offering. And the Omer offering is the animal food, meaning his pishtan, his flaxseed, is the lower food. Yes, the lower animal food. That also explains why Kain's job. Kain was the guy that worked the ground. And he brought it from the ground. He's trying to fix the sin where we were punished to go back to the ground. That's why this also relates to the fact that it's from the afar back to the ground, back to the dust, because he's saying that from himself, I don't have chashivut, ein bo chashivut. I have nothing special about me. I'm simplistic, but really deep down, bekoach, there's a great potential in there, and that's what he's bringing from the most physical pre-adama, from the afar down below. Let's try to elevate it. So let's take the most lowest of the foods. Let's take the pishtan, because there's the greatest potential to have the biggest, bringing up. It's getting closer to Hashem. So then what was the mistake of Kayin? What was his mistake? But he says, when he was focusing on the Omer, he wasn't focusing on the higher levels it could reach. He says, maybe we could say, he says, when it comes to the Omer, the halacha is you have to wave in all directions. You got to move it, bring it in, bring it out, pull it up, pull it down. You have to take and push up what you think doesn't belong up. You have to take from this most lowly and then wave it up into the air, because it's saying that it is shayach to the shamayim. And that's why when Hashem tries to awaken Kain to do tshuva before the murder, he says, Lama why are you upset? Why did your face fall down? If you do the right thing, you're going to go up. He says, if you don't correct, then the actual, if your ma'aseh is not to uplift it, then what do you actually do? Meaning, you had a good idea. You wanted to bring the Omer, but you kind of forgot that the level of actually reaching the wheat. You kind of forgot that the level of actually reaching the greatness of Adam, you didn't elevate it properly. You focused only on that. And according to Moshe Shapiro, that was the chet of Kayin, that he had made it to the 50th day, but he didn't fully recognize the potential that he was supposed to be reaching on that 50th day. Chag Sameach.